This week on ANN, we're kicking off 2018 with a sneak peek into upcoming projects from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
No, it's not just a new logo. We are rolling out a new visual identity system for the worldwide Adventist community.
And communicators, media enthusiasts, and technology experts can start saving to attend GAIN 2018 in Seoul, Korea.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
We typically designate the first episode of a new year to providing a glimpse into what's to come from the communication department of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We also take this time to highlight other ministries and church initiatives as well.
We hope you'll save these dates, visit reference websites, and make plans for the exciting projects in store for 2018.
The Adventist Church is known in 208 out of the more than 230 countries and territories of the world. Our global presence is great for sharing the gospel, but our logo is the only visual cue for identifying the church throughout the world. And even with the logo, we've found it isn't always used within its proper guidelines. The communication department of the Seventh-day Adventist Church is rolling out a new visual identity for the denomination. The goal is to have Adventist publications, institutions, churches, and websites instantly recognizable by using a consistent dynamic system. Here's more.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church is a global community of faith, and we stand together under a common message. However, our diversity in language, culture, and personal expression can sometimes make us seem fragmented. How can we present ourselves in unity as Seventh-day Adventists? How can we use typefaces, colors, patterns, images, and layouts to let people know that they are looking at Adventist materials even before they see our logo? Most importantly, how can we create a system that is flexible enough to accommodate our diversity? The church symbol has been in use since 1997, and it is the most recognizable element of our existing visual identity system. It effectively encapsulates some of our most important concepts, so it remains a core component of the identity system. The symbol usually comes accompanied by text, the name of a local church or organization. Because of our global nature, it is also important to make sure that the design of our church logo works well across hundreds of different languages. To accommodate for this, we created a multi-language type system using Advent Sans, an open-source font designed specifically for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. This sleek, universal font, accompanied by a flat, single-tone symbols, provide a modern, cohesive visual identity for our church. Colors hold cultural meanings. We want to celebrate that. While in the past, specific colors were recommended for global use, now in this new variable color system, the logo can be adapted to match or complement other layout elements, provided it always remains a single solid color. Aside from ensuring that the symbol continues to appear on materials, the new system allows for a wide level of flexibility. The symbol is now free to exist in isolation, detached from the name of the church or entity. When not using the Adventist symbol within the Sabbath column or locked up with an entity name, the preferred version is the knocked-out circular version, which allows for a more graphically pleasing layout. In addition to creating a universally cohesive logo system for our church, we are introducing the Creation Grid. The Creation Grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as the creation week that culminated in the seventh-day Sabbath. This is a 7-column layout structure to be used in the majority of design projects. It intends to communicate our conviction that every Sabbath is a celebration of our hope in the renewal of everything. The first 6 columns are yours to fill with text, images, illustrations, patterns, logos, or anything else. In those 6 columns, you should do all your work of communicating information. But the 7th column, the Sabbath column, is to be set apart, to be special and different from the other 6 columns, as a reminder and visual celebration of our prophetic identity. We all celebrate the Sabbath in different ways, so how you make the Sabbath column different and special is, to an extent, up to you. The principle to keep in mind is contrast. The Sabbath column can be filled with just about any background element: a full bleed image, a texture, pattern, illustration, bold colors, a gradient, or even white space, as long as it is beautiful and fills the entire column. Aside from full background elements, The seventh column should never include identifying marks or text of any kind, with the exception of the Adventist symbol. From billboards and print campaigns to books and pamphlets or even digital application, this new system of design will encourage individual creativity while keeping a cohesive look and prevent visual fragmentation of our identity. The ultimate goal of this visual identity guideline system is to help people know we are all Seventh-day Adventists. We are all different, but all excited about the beauty that is soon to come.
Learn more by visiting identity.adventist.org.
The next meeting for the Global Adventist Internet Network is set to take place in the East. The church's Northern Asia-Pacific region will host the media professionals and technology gurus in Seoul, Korea. The communication director for the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Williams Costa Jr., has more.
This year at the GAIN conference, it will be fantastic. You can't miss it. August 8 to 12 in Seoul, Korea. This GAIN conference will be in connection with the Mission Congress of the Northern Pacific Division. This Congress will receive delegates from all parts of the East, like people from mainland China and Mongolia, Taiwan, Japan. You will be delighted to see the customs, the traditions, the things that represent those wonderful people. At the same time, you will meet with people that are content providers for the internet, people that are technical. So all sorts of people. Will be a great encounter of people. You can't miss it. Next GAIN conference.
Visit gain.adventist.org to learn more.
Coming up, the humanitarian arm of the Adventist Church is looking for 300 Adventist college students to embark on a journey to the Amazon.
But up next, the Communication Department and Adventist World Radio are gearing up to create an innovative center to empower the digital disciples in the Philippines.
Welcome back. The church's communication team is in the initial stages of creating a first-of-its-kind center of digital evangelism in the Philippines.
Sam Nevis, Associate Director for Communication of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, has more.
In 2018, we are working with Adventist World Radio to do some incredible innovation when it comes to social media. How will this work? You see, most people see social media as broadcast. Let's just broadcast to the world. And they don't realize that they are initiating conversations, they're building relationships that need management, that need to be led somewhere, that need to be cared for. These are real people on the other side. And so we are planning in the Philippines to consider building a center for digital evangelism. Now, this digital evangelism will take place looking at one person at a time, constantly, not just broadcasting, but building that relationship from week to week to week with the overall purpose. Well, that's very simple, is to introduce them to Jesus Christ before he returns soon.
The headquarters of the Adventist Development and Relief Agency has made it easy for you, your family, church, or school to help make a lasting impact on the lives of families around the world. One method is through ADRA Connections. The agency selects several international locations with different needs. ADRA then develops projects to help improve the livelihood of people living within that designated area. ADRA Connections is a short-term volunteer opportunity that goes beyond a typical mission trip. And this year, the organization is launching ADRA Connections Extreme 2018. More than 300 Adventist college students from all parts of the world will be sent to serve in the heart of the Amazon. The students will build a school for the children living in one of Brazil's most remote communities who have no access to education. ADRA Connections also provides a space for students to grow spiritually and build new friendships with other Adventist young adults. The project will take place July 8 through 22, and you'll save $200 if you sign up by January 15. Visit adraconnections.org for more details.
Calling all youth and young adults around the world, now is the time to start planning for Global Youth Day 2018. Adventist leaders designate a Sabbath every year for you to skip church, to be the sermon, by performing acts of kindness. Here's a special promo sent from the Youth Ministries Department of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Every day, our actions and our hearts should reflect the love of God. Paul reminds us in the book of Hebrews that we should not forget to do good and to share God's love, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. What if instead of seeing church as an entertainment outlet, we used it as a training ground to do something bold, something worth living and even dying for, just like Jesus did? Christ has called us to love one another and to be each other's keepers. The time we take from our daily activities to share some food or water with our friends and neighbors will put a smile on their face. This is the lifestyle we are called to lead. We need to be relevant to our communities. How many of us will jump with joy when Jesus says, "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in"? It was Mark Twain who said, "Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see." That's what Global Youth Day is about, committing to sustainable acts of kindness that will impact people's lives, some short-term and some long-term. On March 17th, 2018, millions of Adventist youth around the world will unite to be the hands and feet of Jesus as they organize food and water drives around the world. GYD 17 was the highest digital impact the Seventh-day Adventist Church has ever had, and GYD 18 will be even greater. This is also the day when we will begin an intense 8 days of life-changing prayer-centered meetings for youth and young adults. Youth Week of Prayer is a time to recharge and refuel spiritually. This year's focus will be leadership. Help your youth group grow and develop leaders for today and tomorrow. Please visit our website, gcyouthministries.org, to get information on planning your events. Together, we will take up the cross and let Christ be seen throughout our actions. Global Youth Day brings us together as champions for the cause of Christ. Seize the moment. Preach through your acts of kindness. Please join us for #GYD18 and #YWOP18. Be the sermon.
When it comes to delivering the news here behind the ANN desk, we as anchors don't always get things right the first time.
That's right, or even the second time.
Mom, you can't talk to me
Like
right
this.
now. They're doing the news thing.
Are you guys taping?
Yeah, we we were.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no problem.
Mom,
I think it was your turn.
When you watch the finalized version of our recordings online or on Hope Channel, you don't get to see those behind-the-scenes moments where even we have to laugh at ourselves.
That's right, but today you'll get to laugh along with us as we show the official ANN video blooper reel of 2017. We hope you enjoy.
The best way to capture plenty of... Yeah, I wasn't ready. I can't see it yet.
I wasn't. Wow. Don't fall either, please. That's going to start the blooper reel. 1, 2, 3.
Here's an ANN exclusive.
Oh, it's not just me today. Wait, I got to say it again now?
Breaking attempt at the world's largest nail mosaic. Oh my gosh. Is that good? Oh, I was like, what? Oh, okay. Oh my goodness.
You good? You can't look better than me.
Welcome back. Is it the way I said it?
You're really happy to see them again.
14.
and will be broadcast on Facebook Live. I'm not really sure why that's the funniest thing I've ever said.
We met.
I mean, why is it such a big deal?
Fresh out of the bag. Wow.
In which Dominica is located. Oh, Dominica.
The Category 5 Hurricane Maria first made landfall on Dominica.
Dominica, okay.
Dominica.
If I didn't know
Dominica.
someone,
Dominica.
Dominica.
Dominica. All on Dominica. Guys. No, I'm gonna do this. Dominica.
Dominica.
5-1. That's the story for me. You're gonna make it.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, man. This is great.
Coming up, your weekly social media segment.
But up next, learn about the most famous prisoner of the French Tower of Constance.
My daughter was sick and she had to go to the hospital. And I was still working outside of the home. So my job, they didn't trust me. They felt that I wanted to stay home so bad with my kids that I would lie or I would, cheat their time in order to be home with my children. And when people don't trust you like that at a job, that just makes you feel like, why should I even be here? So again, I prayed and I asked God to just please help me out of this situation. Please, I know you know the answer. I don't know what else I could do.
Welcome back.
The gateway to the prison in which she would spend nearly 40 years reads, "All hope abandon ye who enter here."
But this woman, although unjustly imprisoned, would become an advocate for her fellow inmates and would go down in history for her remarkable faith.
Learn more in this week's episode of Lineage called Marie Durand, Righteous Resistance.
Register, the French word for resist, is scratched into the rim of a refuse hole in the Tower of Constance. Tradition ascribes the etching of this slogan to Marie Durand, the most famous prisoner at the time that the slogan appeared. Marie's brother was a Huguenot pastor, and he held worship services in his home, and for this reason, she was snatched from her home as a recently married teenager and thrown into prison in the year 1730. Marie's brother Pierre was killed by gunshots soon after, but her life would turn out very different. She was held behind a large door inscribed with the words, "All hope abandon, ye who enter here," in a large circular stone prison. There was a 6-foot circular hole in the ceiling that let in precious little light and air, as well as snow and rain, depending on the season. Food came in via a similar hole in the floor. Cold, wet, humid, and damp. The women suffered here for nearly 40 years in misery, infection, and tears. Marie was only young when she was taken a prisoner, but because of her education, she became a leader and was able to act as an agent for the women. For 38 years until 1768, she led them in singing and prayer through the heat of the summer and the cold of the winter. Marie was always trying to better their condition, tirelessly petitioning until she was finally able to get every woman granted the Book of Psalms. Though unjustly imprisoned, Marie sought to make the best of her situation and that of the other women she was sentenced to live with. There was another woman whose story is perhaps sadder than Marie's, a young girl at the age of 8 imprisoned for 40 years because her mother took her to a Protestant church service. Such cruel punishments are not of God. To take away someone's liberty because you disagree with their beliefs is not Christian or representative of Jesus. One can only imagine the despair and hopelessness that these women suffered right here in this room as year after year, decade after decade, they lived in such pitiful conditions with no hope of release. The women were eventually released. Marie was an old woman, having spent her best years in prison. Her family home here in the mountains became a Huguenot monument, a testimony to religious steadfastness in the face of unjust ecclesiastical and royal oppression. Marie was just an ordinary woman. She did not write a thesis on theology, nor did she preach any sermons. She did not willingly seek out trouble, nor did she stand before councils to defend her faith, as many others we have talked about did. She was unjustly imprisoned, yet remained steadfast, preserving her faith in the face of terrible injustice and oppression. I find her story moving and inspiring. We never know when in the course of the normal affairs of life, we might be called upon to exercise a faith that we don't think we have and show courage to those around us. The song says, "Will your anchor hold in the storms of life? When the clouds unfold their winds of strife, when the strong tides lift and the cables strain, will your anchor drift or firm remain?" The answer lies in the chorus. We have an anchor that keeps the soul steadfast and sure while the billows roll, fastened to the rock which cannot move, grounded firm and deep in the Savior's love. We often sing this song when things in life are going so smoothly, but if and when the waves come, may our anchor hold.
Learn more by visiting lineagejourney.com.
Emily Mastrapa is here to share what you can expect to find on our social media accounts this year.
There are a lot of great and exciting events coming up in 2018, and we wanted to be sure that you knew about them. 10 Days of Prayer is starting on January 10. This is a time to be united in prayer. It can be an encouraging and powerful experience. March is a big month for youth. In 2017, Global Youth Day was a huge event, making over 150 million impressions on social media. Youth around the world made a great impact on their communities. This year's focus is a food and water drive. See how you can get involved at youth.adventist.org/GYD. Throughout the year, there are special Sabbaths for Reach the World. Each Reach the World Sabbath focuses on a different topic, like personal outreach, united by our mission, and Bible study. You can find more information at children.adventist.org. In the summer, we will celebrate Refugee Sabbath, Children's Sabbath, and Education Sabbath. We'll keep you posted on these days as they're coming up. And later in the year, you can look forward to Global Public Campus Ministries Weekend, Creation Sabbath, and Week of Prayer. These are just a few of the events coming up this year. Visit adventist.org to see more. And you can message us to let us know which days you're most excited about and how you're planning on participating.
And finally, for today's program, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
This week, learn about a prolific missionary and administrator who served in North America, the Caribbean, Asia, and Africa.
Welcome to the new year and to This Week in Adventist History, which this week looks at one life, but a famous one. On January 3, 1911, Robert Howard Pearson was born in the U.S. state of Iowa. Shown here at age 22, 2 years earlier, he had married his high school sweetheart, Dollis May Smith. In 1933, he began working for the Georgia Cumberland Conference, but he applied in that year to serve as a foreign missionary. 2 years later, in 1935, just after being ordained, Pearson was called to serve in India. Robert and Dollis, with their young son, John, spent 7 years as missionaries in India, and their second son, Robert Jr., was born there in the city of Bombay before, in 1942, war obliged them to return home. For the next 8 years, they served in the United States and in the Caribbean before, in 1950, aged 39, Robert was elected president of the Southern Asia Division. He, Dollis, and Robert Jr. spent 4 more years in India. And then, after 4 years of ministry back in the US, at the 1958 General Conference session, Pearson was elected president of the Southern African Division. He and Dollis undertook their 4th spell of foreign missionary service, serving there for nearly 8 years, until Robert's election to the General Conference presidency on June 17, 1966. As GC president, Pearson's warm personal manner and concern for individuals meant that he and Dollis were held in great affection by church members around the world. But Pearson also introduced substantial reforms into the world church. He put great stress on revival and reformation, and he initiated measures that advanced the cause of national leadership across Africa, ensuring that local people began to lead the church there. He also significantly reshaped the world headquarters, making the General Conference more professional and effective. At age 68, he was obliged by illness to resign 15 months before the end of his 3rd term as president. You see him here announcing this resignation to the 1978 Annual Council. He retired to live with his beloved Dollis and became a much-loved elder statesman of the world church before dying in 1989, aged 78. That was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, and then write up a summary of the event's important details. And feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of Psalms, chapter 20, verses 1 and 2.
The passage says, "May the Eternal's answer find you, come to rescue you when you desperately cling to the end of your rope. May the name of the true God of Jacob be your shelter. May he extend hope and help to you from his holy sanctuary and support you from his sacred city of Zion."
That's our program for this week, but remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.